Let's be honest, the German B1 listening exam, it's the part of the test that makes a lot of people nervous. But what if you had a clear roadmap? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do here. In the next few minutes, we're going to break down every single part so you know exactly what's coming and how you can nail it. Let's get right into it. Does the very idea of the listening exam, the Hörverstehen, make your stomach do a little flip? If it does, you are definitely not alone. It's that feeling of trying to catch every single word as it flies by, right? It's a totally common fear, and for good reason.
But that is exactly why we're here. Think of this as your personal guide, your roadmap through the whole thing. We're going to walk through the structure, the different tasks, and, most importantly, give you a clear strategy to feel confident and in control on exam day.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the essential rules you need to know before you even start. Then, we'll get a big picture overview of the test. After that, we'll dive deep into parts 1 and 2, then into the trickier parts 3 and 4, and we'll wrap it all up with a solid strategy for success.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, getting started with the most important rules. Success in this exam actually starts before the first audio clip even plays. Knowing these few things can make a massive difference.
Okay, let's break these 4 points down. They might seem super simple, but trust me, under pressure, they are crucial. First, listen to the instructions. Second, check your name on the answer sheet. A simple mistake there can cause a huge headache later. Third, and this is a big one, only the answer sheet counts. You can scribble all the notes you want on the question paper, but if the answer isn't transferred, it's worth 0. And finally, use a pen. These small details help you start off calm, cool, and collected.
So what does this all really mean for you? It means the exam environment is set up for you to succeed. They're going to explain everything, the audio will be loud and clear, and you have a place to jot down your thoughts. The big takeaway here is this: don't waste your mental energy worrying about the procedure. Save all of that brain power for the listening itself.
Okay, so with the rules covered, let's zoom out a bit. Section 2 is all about the blueprint of the exam. Let's look at the whole picture.
First thing you need to know, it's only about 25 minutes long. That's it. It's also the very first part of the written exam, which is fantastic news because your brain is still fresh. So think of it more like a sprint, not a marathon.
Now let's pause right here for a second. If you remember one thing from this entire explainer, please make it this. Jeder Hörtext wird nur einmal abgespielt. Every single audio clip is played only once. No second chances, no do-overs. This means your focus isn't just important, it is absolutely everything.
So here's how those 25 minutes are broken down. You can see a clear progression, right? We start with simple announcements, then we move to short media clips. Then it gets a bit more complex with everyday conversations, or alltägliche Gespräche. And finally, you're analyzing different opinions. Notice how part 3 has the most tasks. This table right here, this is your mental map for the test.
Okay, time to dive deeper. Section 3, parts 1 and 2. These are all about short announcements. For these first 2 sections, your job is to be a detective, listening for very specific factual information.
So, part 1 is all about those announcements you hear in daily life. You might hear a recorded message from your doctor's office, or an announcement over the loudspeaker at a train station. Your task here is pretty straightforward. You listen to a short clip, and then you just have to pick the right answer from options A, B, or C.
Part 2 feels very similar, but the context changes a little bit. Here we're talking about the media. You'll hear these quick little clips from the radio, maybe a weather report, a traffic update, things like that. And again, it's multiple choice. You're just hunting for those key pieces of information.
All right, now we're moving on to the next level. Section 4 is about parts 3 and 4, which are focused on conversations and opinions. This is where the challenge shifts from just catching facts to really understanding the interactions and viewpoints between people.
So, part 3 is where things get a lot more interactive. You'll be listening in on 4 short conversations between 2 people, and the topics are super practical. Stuff like friends making plans to meet up, colleagues chatting at work, or maybe someone shopping. It's really designed to see if you can follow a normal, everyday German conversation. Now, pay close attention here because this is a key difference. For each one of those 4 conversations in part 3, you actually have a 2-part task. First, you have to decide if a statement about the conversation is true or false. That's richtig oder falsch. Then, right after that, you have to answer a multiple-choice question about the very same conversation. That means you have to listen for 2 different pieces of information at once. It's definitely a step up in difficulty. And that brings us to the final section, part 4. This part tests your ability to follow a discussion. Imagine you're listening to a radio show where a few people are debating a topic, something like, should kids have smartphones? Your job is to listen carefully and then match the opinion to the person who said it. You're basically figuring out who stands for what in the argument.
So, now that we have seen every piece of the puzzle, we know the entire layout of the test, let's put it all together in our final section, your strategy for success. This is your master plan to walk in there and ace this thing.
Here it is, your 5-step plan. First, focus from the absolute start. From the moment the first instruction is read, you are locked in. Second, read the questions first. Always use the pause before the audio to read the questions. It primes your brain on what to listen for. Third, listen for the details. Often the correct answer hinges at a single word or phrase. Fourth, answer immediately. Mark your answer on the official sheet right away so you don't forget it. And finally, maybe the most important step of all, stay calm. If you miss an answer, just take your best guess and move on. Don't let one little stumble trip you up for the rest of the test.
And there you have it, the DTZ B1 listening exam completely demystified. You now know the rules, you know the structure, and you have a clear strategy to follow. It's not a big scary monster anymore. So the only question left is, are you ready to go in there and master it?